All right, so getting started with the actual install. So first thing you're obviously going to want to do is remove your spare tire from underneath the bottom. But the first step is going to be removing this spare tire cross member. On either side of our frame rails, we're going to need to cut, essentially as close as we can without really gouging up the frame rails. So we're going to want to cut as close as we can here and here. So both sides. There's this little guide here. This is something that we'll need to remove. This will be a rather easy one. But yeah, so we'll need to remove this guy as well. And then turning back towards the front of the vehicle, there's this bit right here. The spare tire, when you have it up in here, it'll kind of rest against this piece. So we're going to want to cut this whole thing out. I forgot to mention at this point in the video, but there's this bracket that holds a heat shield from your exhaust. I have it circled in red here. You'll also need to cut this off as well. I have here laid out everything that you'll need in order for cutting of the cross members. In my case, I use an angle grinder, a vibrating multi-tool, and then not pictured here, I use a Dremel. You could also use a plasma cutter for many of these cuts. Safety-wise, I recommend a face shield paired with safety glasses and potentially a mask, since there's going to be a lot of sparks flying while you're doing the cutting. If you don't feel comfortable performing the cuts shown in this section, I recommend having this done by a professional. So first part that we're going to go ahead and cut off is this little guide here. And we're off. Now for cutting out this winch bit, or I guess cross member for the spare tire winch. This one's going to be a little more fun. We have a lot of stuff in the way. You'll definitely want to take advantage of your guard on the side here when working on this side. So you really don't want to cut that line, so let me see. Definitely while you're doing all these cuts, be very mindful of all the wiring around. You don't want to cut any of these. Really take advantage of your guide. So you can see here, we've gotten this off. Now we don't have to deal with the fact that the winch is going to be trying to fall on you when you're trying to do more precise cuts in here. So now what we're going to try to do is cut around the sides of some of this. We're going to need to cut out the bottom. There we are. There's the large chunk of that. At this point in filming, my camera messed up and started filming in a really high speed with no audio. So my apologies for the quality of this section. But at this point, I need to move the cabling and connectors for the trailer connector. So to do that, I have this panel popping tool. I think it's from Gear Wrench. I take that under where the connectors are stuck in the frame, and I use this tool to pop the connectors out. As you can see, it comes out really easily. Once that connector is loose, you can go ahead and move on to the bracket that holds the trailer connector itself. Some 12mm bolts can be removed, and that will remove the bracket. I've just zip tied this up temporarily, so I have plenty of room now. So I'm going to go ahead and cut the rest of this off. Alright, large chunks out. So you can see, nice and clean cuts now. I'll paint those over after some of the following steps, but yeah, just kind of summarizing. Cutting that is definitely some tedious work. Well, depending on the tools that you use, I'm sure some other tools such as a plasma cutter would probably make it a lot easier. But definitely one thing to keep in mind the whole way is be very careful and aware of all of the things around where you're cutting. So you can see there's plenty, especially on this driver's side, because you can see there's plenty of electrical. This is something I've added, but you know, plenty of electrical right here. You have your gas lines and whatnot. So, and of course you have your frame. You don't want to gouge up your frame. You can see here, at one point, slightly nicked my my bumper. But I mean, if you you know, slightly nick some of this stuff, it's not, you know, not the end of the world. Just, you know, clean it up nicely with everything after, and paint it as well. You'll want to paint this stuff real good to keep out corrosion. I know that these are number 12s, so we can go ahead and pop these out real quick. All right, that one is out.